Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Now, we're going to get into some crazy topics today. We're going to get into the Book of Enoch, chapter 66, about trees. We're also going to look at something one of you found. Now, as to not draw attention to this person and not put them in danger, so to speak, I'm not going to mention the person unless they come forward and want to express that they sent this to me. They actually sent this to me years ago, and I never opened the email until a few days ago. And I'm speechless. So I asked the person, how did you find this? And basically they said, after watching some of the decodes that we did on this scene in I, Pet Goat 2, the 2012 animation, they recognized this image. It is a monument in Kiev, Ukraine. Now, this is crazy, you guys, because it has all of the elements in I, Pet Goat 2. The circle on the floor, the apple, the rose, the dress, the circle, the apple, the rose, the dress. How can this be when this monument that we're going to cover today wasn't even built yet, or at least this sculpture within the monument complex was not even built yet when I, Pet Goat 2 released? All is not what it seems in this world, you guys. Now, believe it or not, back in 2013, we were already connecting this scene to Ukraine way back in 2013. How? Well, let me show you the video. This is insane. Let me check in with you guys, and I'll show you this video from 2013 in which we made the connection between the scene you just saw and Ukraine. For those that say, all you do is pick on Trump. No. We were exposing Obama too. It's just, you're new to the show. All these people are working together. All right, looks like we're good. Let's take a look, you guys. This is from 2013. That's, what is that? That's 12 years ago, 13 years ago.
Hey, you guys, it's Into the Stars.
Whoa.
We, of course, found this coin.
Whoa. Let me slow myself down here. Talking too fast. So this is called the Panikovsky. We called it Panic Over Sky, the Little Golden Calf, Clues to the Coming Fifth Age. This was dated 11 years ago. Sorry. Let's fire this back up and put it on a little bit slower speed here.
Coin underneath Obama's foot from iPet Goat. And I've done a series of videos on it, but now we're going to... Hey, you guys, it's Into the Stars. We, of course, found this coin underneath Obama's foot from iPet Goat. And I've done a series of videos on it, but now we're going to go into a little bit more detail. We're going to unpack this and find out exactly what is going on. We're going to relate it back to the Russian novel, The Little Golden Calf, which was completed in 1930 and 1931. So, I took a closer look at Panikovsky. Now, the first thing I want you to notice is that the name, Panic of Ski. Now, interestingly, in the novel, the I changes to a Y in certain spellings, so it's sky. And as you can see, that could be considered panic over the sky. We're going to look at this figure here. Now, again, this is a monument that was dedicated to this particular character from the novel, The Little Golden Calf. Notice the straw hat. Some close-ups. Here's his foot. Remember, there's a coin under the foot, which matches the coin under the foot we just saw. This is a Russian novel that this character monument was dedicated to. I want you to look underneath the foot here. Someone took a mirror, shined it underneath the foot. And they're doing this hand gesture, okay? This hand gesture is actually the fig sign. And it is made by placing the fingers around the thumb, having your thumb come up in between your index finger and your middle and your pointing finger. Okay. Now this gesture is considered a good luck charm in certain cultures, but in others, such as Russia, which is where this monument is from, it's considered an obscene gesture. Okay. Just want to give you a little background on that. Now you notice the man had a straw hat. We saw these images of Barack Obama wearing a straw hat. These images were taken from 1980, exactly 33 years ago. I thought that was interesting of note to bring forward to your attention. Now, this is the book that character was from, and this is the cover of the book. As you're going to notice, it's all Illuminati. He's wearing a striped blazer, and also you see the number 25 on this dumbbell, or whatever this thing is here. We identified 25 petals on the lotus flower for my pet goat. Picker. 25 petals on this flower. We identified Christmas as the date. We're trying to call out the counting of the elements in the lotus flower. So it's interesting that we have the 25 on this dumbbell at the cover of, and look at, there's money on the ground here. You can almost be stepping on that as well. There's money in the suitcase. Now we're going to take a look back at page 190, where we see a reference to the comet. We're going to get into some more detail with this. It's pretty fascinating. They mention a comet, as I brought out in previous videos, and you seem to get an analogy that I think you're going to find very interesting. He says, night, night, night. Now, a few of you have brought to my attention that this could be the 3 days of darkness, and at first I thought, oh, that's possible, but we need more. Well, as I started to read this over and over again, it was apparent to me that this was describing the analogy of the universe. Now, read with me through this and bear with me, okay? Because until you actually think of it in these terms, this doesn't really make sense. Night, night, night lay over the land. In the port of Chernomorsk, cranes were turning smoothly, okay? Dropping steel slings into the foreigners' deep holds, and turning again. Okay, turning is like orbits, right? To release pine crates of machinery for the Kharkov tractor factory onto the wharf with the mother cat's loving care. A pink flame roared like the tail of a comet out of the silicates factory. So we are told that comets come from the Oort cloud, right? So this is kind of like comets being born from the factories, tall smokestacks. The star clusters of the Dnipro hydroelectric station and Magnetorsk and Stalingrad burned. The star of the red Putil machinery plant rose in the north, and after it, a great multitude of first magnitude stars lit up. So it's directly referencing the universe there. There were factories, plants, electric stations, and construction sites. You could say that that might resemble galaxies, solar systems. The entire 5-year plan was glowing. And remember, we referenced this as the fifth age. Its brilliance drowning out the familiar old sky that had been around since the Egyptians. So now we're entering the fifth age. It's taking the place of the time of the Egyptians. A young man who stayed late at the workers' club with his sweetheart quickly turned on the electrified map of the 5-year plan. So it's almost like they already know what's going to happen. And he whispers, look at this little red light. That's where the Siberian combine factory is going to be. We're going to go there. Want to? Almost as if they're maybe planning on going to another planet. A red light could be a red planet, like Mars. And his sweetheart, laughs quietly, freeing her hands. Night, night, night has already been said, lay all over the land. The monarchist Gorbachev was dreaming of an enormous union card grown in his sleep. Engineer Tomodowski snored in a train on the top bunk.
Whoa, Tomudovsky? Whoa. Now, of course, my viewpoint on what we see in the sky has completely changed since 2013. I don't believe we can get to the red planet the way they say that they're trying to do. But this is very, very prophetic in a certain way, isn't it? Because this is exactly what's happening right now. The electrification of America, all Trump talking about we're going to Mars, right? Elon Musk going to Mars. This is from 2013, you guys. And then the glaring one that I missed, Talmud Ofsky. Wow. Let's keep listening here. It's almost over.
Racing for Kharkov to Rostov, where he had been tempted by a higher pay grade. Now this is interesting. The American gentlemen were rocking back and forth on a wide Atlantic wave. Now in iPad Go, we saw the wide Atlantic wave hovering over the school. Now remember, this novel is from 1931, decades and decades ago, but yet we have similar analogies in here. It's just as fascinating. Bringing the recipe for a wonderful moonshine distilled from wheat mash back to their motherland. So I just wanted to bring these to your attention, you guys. I thought you would, appreciate this. This is all a conglomeration of input from subscribers, and so it was like.
So I will put a link to the little golden calf and Kiev. That I didn't say Kiev in here, but that's where that monument is from. As you can see here, the monument of the man standing on the coin is actually in the Ukraine, as you can see here. So the connection was made, which to me is crazy. And this whole book was about money laundering, which then later became front page news in terms of the accusations made about what was really going on in Ukraine. So this was a very forward-thinking video, which just gives me chills. I mean, I'm even getting chills, you guys, looking at how the Holy Spirit was already leading to try to wake people up to this stuff. Now, today's connection to Ukraine simply blew my socks off. Let's go back to this image. The makers of Pet Goat, they call this girl Lilly. Let's go to the website. This is Heliophan's website. They call this girl Lilly. Here it is here. And suddenly, startling realization arose in Lilly. This apple is not mine, she thought. It belongs to someone else. And it used to be that Heliophant had images on this website that connected these children you see in the background, that connected this to, how do I say this? Andy Sook. And you guys can help people out that are new to the channel that don't know what I'm saying. Okay. And they literally had images of Obama in the classroom after the event. And they compared it to this classroom scene. Unfortunately, here's the problem. This released 3 months before the event happened. But yet they show a classroom scene with Obama in the classroom, which is exactly what happened after the event. So how is all this happening? Now, they've since taken all of this down from their website, but you could probably go back into like the archives and see all this for yourself. And those of you that have followed Heliophan's channel, you know that what I'm saying is true. They used to have images of Obama with the children in the classroom after the event happened. Now, we can't really talk about this in specifics for obvious reasons. A precedent has been set. A particular individual, a fake truther, just got sued for $1 billion just for denying that the event happened. Now, let's finish this up here, because one of you knocked this out of the park. You found this monument with the girl, the apple, and the rose, and the circle, and the dress, and the pigtails. The monument is the Holodomor in Kiev. and it's based off of a famine that happened. Here's another image of more apples on the circle. The apple rolling across the circle. Now, what is this monument about? Well, the 1933 famine, it was actually, the word is genes on your side, right? It's this word. And it killed millions of people in the Ukraine. And the monument you saw was part of a complex that opened much earlier, but the monument itself did not open. The statue you just saw did not open until 2 years after I Pet Goat 2. And this is why I didn't find it in 2013, because it didn't exist yet. What is the monument called? It's called The Bitter Memory of Childhood. That's the name of the monument of the girl. And again, it's part of a much larger complex. Now, how did these people know about all this? How are they showing us things in animations before they happen? Well, of course, they're following a script. They're the dark ones. They want us to believe in time travel, but it's really not. It's specific plans and a script written out, just like God has scripture and prophecy. They want to copy God, and so they want us to believe they're going back in time. Now, here's where things get super spooky. And I say that because I can't even believe the disclosure of this stuff for the people that just simply, bother to look. This is the author of the sculpture, Petro Drozdovsky, and he was born on 6/6/57. Now, that alone doesn't mean anything, 66, even though it's everything we've been talking about. But here's what does mean something. And I hope you're sitting down for this, because he aligned the monument to the main tower, the main museum, at exactly 66 degrees. Do you think we're making all this up now? I hope you understand what's really going on. This is insane, you guys. This is literally insane. Here is the monument of the girl, the circle. She's standing in the middle. I drew a line to the main building right through the front door, and it's 66 degrees, matching this guy's birthday, 6/6/57. Now, here's where things get really weird, because I wanted to know what the apples and the roses meant. I wanted to know what that meant, because there must be some symbolism behind it, right? So I looked it up, and guess what? What the symbolism represented was this. They called it resilience. But there's something else to this. The roses and the apples. They mention the rose garden in Jerusalem, and they also mention that people were so hungry that they literally had to eat the bark off of the apple trees. You can't make this up, you guys. 1933. We discovered the connection 33 years after the event, I think. Was it 33? That's what we mentioned in the last video from 2013. I think we were meant to find this at exactly this point in time, which is just crazy. But then all of this clicked. I was like, okay, there's more to this. So you've got this girl in the monument. She's actually holding wheat. There was some rule about 5 grains of wheat. So that's what she's holding in her hands, in case you were curious as to what was going on there. You even see the spiral braid here, just like the spiral braid or pigtail. This is about as creepy as it gets, you guys. Look at this. You even got the checkerboard floors matching up with the Panikovsky golden calf. Let's show you that real quick again, that I mentioned way back then.
Where we see a reference to the comet. We're going to get into some more detail with this.
Hold on. Let me show you that real quick, just to complete this. Where'd it go? Where'd it go? With the arm there. Anyway, you guys remember, I just showed it to you. This guy's wearing a black and white checkerboard or striped jacket, blazer, whatever you want to call it. Now, let's keep going with this. So I read up on this, right? Because I'm trying to figure all this out. I'm like, there's got to be more to this monument. Okay. Well, there are 24 millstones. All of this is pointing to human trafficking, isn't it? Let's read. The entrance of the alley to the memorial complex is framed by 2 statues of angels, referred to as the angels of sorrow. The angels represent the guardians of the souls of the starved. In the center of the alley, there are 24 millstones. Now, we know what the Bible says about millstones. It's one of the only verses in the Bible that talks about those who harm children and what will happen to them. They will have a millstone tied around their neck. And so they call it a dual meaning, but they don't talk about the biblical aspect to it. Millstones of destiny are set in a circle and carry a dual meaning. On one hand, they symbolize the source of food and life. On the other hand, they represent a 24-hour clock, reminding that up to 24,000 humans were ground to death daily during the Holodomor. So they don't mention the punishment that God handed down or will hand down to those who harm children. So to me, this is gaslighting. Now, during this era, if you gleaned you guys, this thing is literally laden in biblical references. During this starvation period, if you gleaned the fields, which is exactly what Jesus did on the Sabbath, it was punishable by death. Wow. Now, we're going to read Enoch 66 at the end because it's about the trees, because there was that 66 component. But let me give you the clincher here, because this isn't the only place where this girl exists. It also exists in Canada. There are copies of this in Canada. Let me show you. Bitter Memories of Childhood Monument. Here it is. In Manitoba. This one was unveiled in 2014, again, 2 years after iPet Goat 2 came out. By the way, the makers of iPet Goat 2 are from Canada. Here is the same sculpture in Regina. Smaller circle there she's standing on with a monument. In 2015. And one more in Toronto. replicas. So there are 4 total. Now I'll put links to all this so you guys can see this for yourself. But this is pretty chilling. Now let me check in with you guys, and then we'll read about the trees and how they were all cut down right before the flood. I believe it was before the flood. What are your guys' thoughts on all this? Let me get your reaction, and then we'll read Enoch chapter 66. Do you guys have any questions? Ryan Reynolds is from Regina, Canada. Florida just rescued 60 children 2 days ago. Toronto, where Elon moved after high school with mom. Alberta trying to secede. Kara's chat turned black. Wow. Trump's Crown Heritage Foundation Award, Crown of Jerusalem. The Revelation 12 woman held wheat. Oh, wow. Carlos' mind is blown. My mind's blown too. Not much time before God says that's it. Okay. 2 angels cut down trees on orders from our Father. Yes. All right, let's read Enoch 66. Now, I've read this from time to time, but I like to reread some of this stuff because sometimes we could see it through different eyes, right? In those days, the word of God came to me and said, Noah, behold, thy lot has ascended up to me, a lot void of crime, a lot beloved and upright. Now, this obviously suggests that maybe some righteous people died, has ascended up to me. Let's keep reading. Now, then, shall the angels labor at the trees? But when they proceed to this, I will put my hand upon it and preserve it. The seed of life shall arise from it, and a change shall take place, that the dry land may not be left empty. I will establish thy seed before me forever and ever, and the seed of those who dwell with thee on the surface of the earth. It shall be blessed and multiplied in the presence of the earth in the name of the Lord. Now, what's interesting here is that it's almost as if God is speaking in metaphor as well. So these trees that the angels cut down, but then preserved with a new generation of trees, which obviously are cut off from wherever these trees went. I believe there were portals back to the garden, so the angels cut them down. But then God established a new seed of trees, which also symbolized the new seed of Noah's offspring after the flood. So this had metaphorical meanings as well, didn't it? Blessed by the Lord. Now let's keep reading here. And they shall confine those angels who disclosed impiety. This would be the fallen angels. They disclosed how to sin. They showed man how to sin. In that burning valley it is that they shall be confined, which at first my great-grandfather Enoch showed me in the west, where there were mountains of gold and silver, of iron, of fluid metal, and of tin. I beheld that valley in which there was great perturbation, and where the waters were troubled. And when all this was affected from the fluid mass of fire and the perturbation which prevailed in that place, there arose a strong smell of sulfur. Now, this is where we get into the hot springs. We've talked about this before. The smell of sulfur coming up from the hot springs. Listen to this, because there's a prophecy here. There arose a strong, so these, remember, the smell of sulfur is coming from this fluid mass of fire, which would be lava. This is where hot springs are fueled from, right? They're fueled from underground heat. Okay. Are you guys tracking here? And it's in this burning valley. So they're talking about like a volcano, which became mixed with the waters. Those are the hot springs, and the valley of the angels. These are the fallen angels who had been guilty of seduction, burned underneath its soil. So this is where they're at. They're inside these volcanoes, according to the Book of Enoch, exerting their influence on last days' evil ones. Let's keep reading. Through that valley, also rivers of fire were flowing. That would be lava flows, to which these angels shall be condemned, who seduced the inhabitants of the earth. Obama was supposedly from Hawaii, where we have all kinds of volcanic activity. Wrap your brain around that for a second. And in those days shall these waters, they're talking about the hot springs, these waters be to kings, to princes, to the exalted, and to the inhabitants of the earth for the healing of the soul and the body, and for the judgment of the spirit. Whoa. So it heals your soul and your body, but judges the spirit. Their spirits shall be full of revelry, that they may be judged in their bodies, because they have denied the Lord of spirits. And although they perceive their condemnation day by day, they believe not in his name. So obviously this applies to non-believers, right? Think about this. Think about all of the people who deny God, right? Who deny the Lord. And now I'm trying not to make generalizations here, but we all know that there is a certain segment of people who are kind of into Gaia and all of these false gods, right? And these are some of the same people that like to go into the hot springs and commune with spirits, all the other spirits outside of God. So essentially, God is saying here that he will judge their spirit. Now, if you're a believer in the Lord, you don't have to worry about this. So this isn't saying, oh, you can't go into a hot spring or a hot tub, but your spirit will be judged. If you don't believe in the Lord, this is where your spirit's going to get judged, according to the Book of Enoch. Let's keep reading. It says, and as the inflammation of their bodies shall be great, so shall their spirits undergo a change forever. For no word which is uttered before the Lord of spirits shall be in vain. Judgment has come upon them because they trusted in their carnal revelry and denied the Lord of spirits. In those days shall the waters of that valley be changed. Now listen closely, because here's the prophecy. For when the angels shall be judged, then shall the heat of those springs of water experience an alteration. So, we'll know that the angels are judged when, let's keep reading, and when the angels shall ascend. Now they're not ascending to be in heaven, they're ascending for judgment. The water of the springs shall again undergo a change and be frozen. Whoa. Is this the frozen landscape that we are seeing in I Pet Goat 2? Near the oil refineries. Is there lava in I Pet Goat 2? Are there volcanoes? I don't remember. Then I heard Holy Michael answering and saying, this judgment with which the angels shall be judged shall bear testimony against the kings, the princes, and those who possess the earth. Remember, we're not supposed to want a king. This is further proof. God told us that if we had a king, he says this in Samuel, that they would be our judges. and that we would give our sons and our daughters and our tenth of everything, and they would take our land and everything else. And that's exactly what's happened ever since when we chose a man to rule us instead of the Most High. The Most High used to rule us, but Israel rejected the Most High. Can you imagine walking in the presence of the Lord and still you don't have the faith to believe in the very God who created you? I can't even imagine that. For these waters of judgment shall be for their healing and for the death of their bodies. But they shall not perceive and believe that the waters will be changed and become a fire which will blaze forever. I'll put a link to this fascinating read for you guys. Let me go back in the chat, get your reaction and response to all this, and we can talk about it. Holy smokes, right? Now don't run out and get rid of your hot tub. That's not what this is about. It's only for the ones that do not believe in the Lord. And it clearly says that they heal people, they heal your bodies, but will condemn your soul if you're not a believer, because the very spirits of the fallen ones are in those waters. It's the sulfur. This is why the One World Trade Freedom Tower is shaped like a sulfur molecule. You guys, sulfur is the smell of demons. Now, I don't know. I'm at the point where I don't want to bathe in demons. I mean, that's crazy. Frog boiling, says Bill Smith. Yikes is right. Fire and ice. There you go, Joy. Is that amazing or what? We did like 10 videos on fire and ice, remember? Remember, fire and ice is what kicked off the pandemic. That was one of the videos that we did just after it started, just after the spam-demic started. There were 2 eclipses, remember? There were 2 eclipses. There was one on the summer solstice and one on the winter solstice. The one on the winter solstice, the ice is what started the spam-demic. That happened on December 24th, roundabouts, 2019, when the first case of VidCo-19 was reported in China. And then in 2020, on the summer solstice, there's your fire, is when we were in the middle of the lockdowns. And the ice eclipse in 2019 was a smiley face shape over China. It was literally an eclipse over China. Let me show it to you. This is insane. We'll finish out the show with this. All right. December 2019 eclipse. This is insane. People ask me, Casey, what's the smiley face mean? I'm going to show you right now. Here was the eclipse that started the spam-demic. And there's the smiley face. And look, the countries up here almost form like a raccoon mask. See that? So you're literally looking at a smiley face. That's like a raccoon mask. And of course, when you scramble the word raccoon, it spells corona. This was a ritual. This was the ice. Now let's look at the fire. That was 2020. Let's see here. June, I think it was June 2020, which was on the summer solstice. Here it is. Open image. Oops, let's do this. Let's click on it. Oh, shoot. Oh, there it is. Okay, hold on. This is insane, you guys. I can't even believe this. This is the cry later. Wait, where'd it go? Smile now, cry later. And there it is. Why won't it show me? Shoot, hold on. Smile now, cry later. And there's the eclipse on the June 21st summer solstice in 2020. Almost the same path as the winter, except it's frowning. And there are your eyes again, the raccoon eyes formed by Kazakhstan and Mongolia over China. That's supernatural, you guys. And they chose these dates to kick off what amounted to a huge change in the world. Nothing went back to normal after this. These are portals. I hope you guys understand what I just showed you, because it's insane. Fire and ice right there in plain sight. Okay, what else is going on? Those are good questions. Thanks for asking those. The wheat and the tares. Thanks, Marcy. Great comment. Yeah, so the wheat could signify that. The child holding the wheat being like the righteous. What would the tares be? Tares are weeds. I didn't see any weed symbolism, but I'm sure there was. Okay. I'm reading into the text something it doesn't say. What are you talking about, Christina? Please explain. Please hit the thumbs up. Two masks of the hypocrite, smile and sad. Yes. Now remember, what is smile now, cry later used as a symbol for? So does anyone know the answer? What is it used as a symbol for? What is... Okay, thanks, Christina. She's not you. Okay, thanks. Okay, what is this smile and now cry later used as a symbol for? This is just think in basics. Yabba Dabba says wheat equals 57. Thank you for that, which was the year the artist was born. Yes, Corona spells raccoon when you scramble it, because there are two ways to spell raccoon. Let's show you guys that, so you know I'm not stretching anything. Spellings. You can spell raccoon two different ways. The most common and generally accepted spelling is raccoon with two C's, while raccoon is also seen as less common in American English, but the two are okay. When you scramble this one, it spells corona. It's the raccoon mask. Now let's go back here. All right. Now, where was I? I got sidetracked there. Yes, Margaret got it. Thank you. The two faces of drama in theater. That's what smile now and cry later is. Smile now, cry later, masks, drama. The phrase smile now, cry later is associated with theater masks of comedy and tragedy. These masks are a long-standing symbol representing contrasting aspects of human experience: joy and sorrow, laughter and tears. So, if we apply that to what we went through with the spam-demic, in the beginning, right after it was happening, we were told, 2 weeks to flatten the curve. Let's all do this together, come together. Both sides came together, right? Oh, Democrats and Republicans coming together to flatten the curve. That was the smile now part. The cry later was, here we are, 3 or 4 months after we were told 2 weeks was it. Everybody's fighting over masks and whether or not the smack of the nation was going to be mandatory. And that was the cry later. Complete and utter division, tyranny, people losing jobs. And of course, the smack of the nation did not actually come to market until the following Christmas, is when it basically launched. I think it was Thanksgiving or Christmas of 2020. But you get the drift. This is how they manipulate us. It's the realm of the knowledge of good and evil. It's duality. They pit us against each other. You guys, the programming is thick. The programming is thick. People are now divided on whether or not the bunker busters hit their target. And they've got people divided on that. They did the show yesterday and people are like, well, yeah, of course CNN's going to lie. I'm like, if it helps, if it makes you feel better, I'll show you the Fox News article that says almost the same thing. So this is the division. This is how they keep us asleep. They just simply flip the arguments back and forth, the same sentiment on each side of the aisle, and then people literally change their mind based on which side is saying it. I've never seen such insanity in my life. It's troubling, actually, to watch people, their heads spinning around in circles. They don't even know where their moral ground stands. And when you tell them something that actually makes sense, let's go back to world geopolitics and events, right? So when you tell them something that actually makes sense, they don't even know how to handle that information because they didn't hear it in a talking point. I said, look, I'm not trying to defend Iran, but if you're so scared that they're going to develop a nuclear weapon, you guys, we already know we can shoot down 99% of anything sent up in the sky, right? We already know that. What's the difference if there's a nuclear warhead on it or not? It doesn't make any difference, does it? We can shoot it down. So if you're so afraid, let them launch the thing, shoot it down, then you drop a nuke on Tehran, and you have the whole world at your back because they tried to genocide another people, and now you have the world's support. Why are we playing this dumb game of tit for tat and warning people when we're about to do something? Why are we doing this? It's because everything they're telling us is not the truth. We've been saying for 30 years that Iran is on the precipice of developing a nuclear weapon. Oh, and then someone came on and said, the reason why they were never able to develop it, Casey, is because Mossad was so integral in the ability to subvert every single last move. They were in front of every single last time that Iran tried to do it. We subverted and stopped. It's like, listen to yourself. Listen to yourself. So for 30 years, right before they were able to do it, Mossad came in and stopped it. It's like, wow, really? If you really think that they wanted to use a nuclear weapon, wouldn't they have just sent their entire barrage of ballistic missiles at Israel and overwhelmed the Iron Dome and obliterated it? Wouldn't they have just done that? Wouldn't that be the way to do it rather than sit around and threaten? Except that never happened over the last 30 years, has it? It only happened in the last week. And they didn't even send the whole thing all at once. They just sent some. So, and then when you tell people stuff like this, things that actually make sense, they like short circuit. Wait, would you rather have Kamala? I'm like, of course not. Kamala was designed to lose. And then you tell them more truth, and you're like, listen, the Democrats didn't even pick Kamala. They weren't even allowed to vote. Why? Because they already knew who they wanted to put that they knew would lose. Right? And then I joke and I say they could have ran Oprah Winfrey and got more votes. They still would have lost by a landslide to Trump because everyone's still so deceived. But they could have run Oprah Winfrey. They could have run Denzel Washington, and he would have got more votes than Kamala Harris. I mean, am I right or wrong? There were 100 other people they could have ran. Now, AOC would have probably done worse. There are some that would have done worse, but they could have literally run anybody and did better than they did. So they knew she was going to lose. And that was the plan because the deep state still has not been exposed. And I tell people that too. I'm like, where's this deep state? Why aren't they being arrested? Trump sure does have a lot of power to go after illegals and ICE and fire a bunch of people from the government, but he can't arrest 25 people in the deep state and expose them and show all the proof. He's got all the tech billionaires that could show us all this proof, right? All this stuff's documented. Can't the tech billionaires come forward and say, "Hey, we were surveilling all these people. We have all the information. We're going to post this on X. Here's the deep state. Here's the lineup. We've arrested all of them. We've got the Trump's now in full control of the military." You guys, but nobody is using their brain. They're just thinking in terms of Kamala versus Trump. That's the extent of their wisdom about these situations. Or Israel versus Iran. They don't even think to themselves that Iran could have easily, again, launched their entire arsenal, which would have overwhelmed the Iron Dome, and they could have achieved their objective a decade ago. The truth of the matter is Iran will never do this because Iran doesn't want to get wiped out. They just threaten. They know that if they really tried to do that to Israel, they would be annihilated. And they would have no sympathy from the world, would they? Even if innocent lives were lost. It would literally be another Hiroshima. But the world would say, you know what? We can't let a nuclear bomb hit Israel, so it had to be done, is what the world would say. So at the end of the day, Iran doesn't really want to annihilate Israel because if they wanted to, they would have done it by now with their ballistic missile arsenal. And they've got an infinite amount of missiles under the ground supplied by Russia. They could do it if they wanted to. So that's called using your brain and critical thinking, not talking from talking points and what you're told to think. So what else is going on? That's just a little geopolitics this morning, kind of all over the place today, but all this stuff needs to be talked about. Now, if you haven't heard by now, unfortunately, Call for Uprising's channel went down, and he's got some backup channels. He's one of the only ones that I will give a endorsement of in these days. You know, I'm not knocking other truth channels. I'm just saying he's been at it. He's lost channels, and he's awake to the right-left paradigm. He's not afraid to criticize Trump. So many channels are afraid to talk about Trump. And he is the poster child for everything that's happening right now. Even if you don't think he's in control, he failed to do everything he said. He failed to disclose to us the deep state. He's failed to show us the trafficking and Epstein and everything else. He's all that matters right now, leading us right into the mark of the beast, the Antichrist, surveillance state, everything the whole truth community's been, including Alex Jones, has been talking about for a decade that this was all coming. It's all now happening under Trump. And when you tell people that, they still don't get it. They're like, what are you afraid of? I'm not afraid of anything, but we do have a constitution that talks about privacy. Do you still care about that? Oh, I don't care. I trust Trump. Okay. Well, what about when Trump's not in office anymore and there's Democrats doing the same thing going, let's look up all those MAGA people. Let's go harass them. That's why we have a constitution with limits. You're not allowed to, launch Project Gotham and look at everyone's private data and decide if they're about to commit a crime. That's not allowed in America, but yet it just happened. And it's not that you have anything to hide or that you're living in fear. So, anyway, sorry I got a little sassy there. I try to remain calm, you guys, but it's difficult sometimes. Yeah, these people are still walking around. Killer's in jail. Yeah. All this rhetoric we got that all this was going to get fixed and nothing gets fixed. We're right back where we started. We have weapons of mass destruction. We cannot allow Iran to have a nuclear weapon of mass destruction. Show us the proof, Trump. Well, we cannot show you the proof because we're right back to the Bush years and there is no proof. But you must trust us that they have the weapon. They're right on the precipice and the brink of weapons of mass destruction. I mean, are you kidding me? How shallow are people's memories? Yeah, I'm a little feisty today. Man. And then, but you listen to people, they're like, yeah, we stuck it too, right, man. They're not going to mess with us, mess with USA. We just dropped the mother of all bombs and bopped them up. The mother of all bombs, the mother of the mother of the mother of all bombs, the grandmother, the great grandmother of all the bombs in the world, the uncle, the sister, the cousins of all the bombs. We are America. We have air superiority. And you hear these people running their mouth, and you're like, are you okay? Just buying up all the rhetoric. Oh, but who cares if we didn't implode the bunker with Iran's super secret extra strength concrete? Because we are America, and at least we closed the passages so they cannot get down there again. They do not stand a chance against America. So this is what we're dealing with, you guys. People that just don't care. It's like people are living in some kind of fantasy. They don't get it. And meanwhile, the distraction is, thanks, Christy Cherry, Big Beautiful Bomb. The distraction is the Big Beautiful Bill, in which it literally states that states are not allowed to make any changes to the artificial intelligence. They're not allowed to regulate it. It's just going to be Trump's big, beautiful Stargate AI program, data centers controlling all information and artificial intelligence, sucking up all the last drops of water that were left in America, sucking up 10% of the electricity use in America, which is driving our electricity costs up, all so that the data centers can control you and me. Literally, we're building our own prisons. And all people care about is the bunker buster. We busted Iran. Iran is busted. We busted them. We flew our best jets all over Iran. And the guys in the plane, they had to sleep for 2 days. And they got snack packs. And the snack packs were good. They were big, beautiful snack packs. And they are heroes because they flew the planes into the granite rock. I mean, I'm sorry, you guys, but this is the truth. It's the truth. We are America. So, yeah. This is hard for some people to hear, but it is the truth. Okay. Again, nothing personal. We just exposed Obama earlier in the show today. Okay. And the whole Ukraine thing. There are other videos on Ukraine and Obama, these secret labs and all this. All that happened under Obama. That's where it started. But now we're in the Trump presidency and the stakes have risen, haven't they? They've risen significantly because now we're in the era of artificial intelligence. We're now working against computers and artificial intelligence that are literally replacing human beings. And they're admitting that they're replacing human beings. The stakes have risen exponentially, which is why we have to double down on what Trump is doing and call him out, even though we are conservatives or have conservative values. I wouldn't call myself a conservative in the current definition because obviously the conservatives are failing at what they're doing. But you know what I mean? And that blows people's minds too. They're like, who'd you rather choose, Kamala? Kamala? Did you want her instead? And I'm like, I'm more conservative than Trump and any conservative president we've ever had because I believe in our right to privacy. I believe in true freedom. I believe in circling the wagons and truly making America great again by not allowing our companies to offshore our jobs, by not allowing AI to take over all of our jobs, by focusing on our security here at home instead of getting involved in all these issues that don't matter. I don't want to send a single dime out to another country to help them until we have a quality of life where the average person can go work 40 hours a week and not be poor and not have a freaking broken car and not have to worry about if they're going to get evicted from their apartment or their window broken on their car or their house ripped off or getting scammed. I mean, am I right or wrong, you guys? And all this other stuff they throw at us is all just distraction. Oh, but Casey, we are America. We must stand up for freedom in the world. We must have a presence. We must have a presence in the world. We must stand for freedom. Okay. How does that work over the last 30 years? Trillions of dollars in Iraq, Afghanistan. How's that worked out for us? And still, I'll end the war in Ukraine in 24 hours. When are we going to wake up and understand that every president works for the deep state? They are the deep state. All right. Sorry, guys. All right, I gotta pop off of here. Let's see what else. Paul says I like. Let's see. Did you hear Trump's rant about the he called like so remember Trump's job is to make the left always like to battle the left, right? That's his job. He has to keep the right left going to keep America divided. So he attacked CNN, right? CNN, they're a bunch of bums. How CNN saying the disrespect our brave men and women in airplanes. Drop the bombs in Iran, in the granite. They should be held as heroes. Yet, CNN, they're a bunch of bums. Disrespecting the military. So, do you see that? So, he did two things. First of all, he reinforced the divide between those who respect the military and those that don't. Then he reinforced the right left divide, fake news. This is all he does. He's a provocateur. Our president is a provocateur. So, and all because they called him out and said, we're not quite sure you hit the target. That was all it took for him to throw a tantrum. if CNN, F you, F this, F that. And people eat this stuff up. Okay. All right. Enough. We laughed enough, you guys. I'm just going to start calling these comedy shows because maybe that will help us. Okay. All right. I love you guys. I guess we're going to go away now. Oh, boy. All right, you guys. I'll see you likely tomorrow. I'll put links to all this in the pinned comment. Have a great rest of your day, everybody.